Garden container prices have increased 34% in the last 3 years. And most beginner gardeners are still putting off starting every single spring without realizing there is a permanent solution sitting in their garage right now. Today, I'm covering 8 household items that grow food better than store-bought pots. No garden center required, no $40 ceramic planters required, and number 3 on this list is the one nobody expects, and it will completely change what you think is possible with vertical gardening. Stay with me, because the bonus tip at the end of this video alone is worth watching every single minute. These aren't trash-picking hacks. These are legitimate container solutions that outperform expensive garden pots in drainage, durability, and production. And every single one is probably in your house right now.
Before we get started, be sure to check out the plants, tools, and products featured in this video. Everything you need is linked right in the description below.
If you have been wanting to start container gardening, but every time you price out materials, you talk yourself out of it, this channel was built specifically for you. Hit that subscribe button right now, because this is practical container gardening for real people with real budget limitations. Not Instagram perfect setups that cost $300 to get started. Every single week, this channel gives you exactly what you need to grow your own food without the expense and the overwhelm. Subscribe, and let's get into it. Container 8. Laundry Detergent Bottles. Most people throw these away without realizing they are engineered for the exact conditions plants need. Thick UV-resistant plastic, and handles for easy mobility, and a wide base that prevents toppling. Cut off the top third. Drill 6 1/4-inch drainage holes in the bottom. You now have a 4-gallon container with a built-in handle that holds full-size tomato plants, peppers, or eggplants. A single tomato plant in one of these produces 15 to 25 pounds of fruit per season. That is $30 to $50 worth of tomatoes from a container you were about to throw away. Do that math. These work in USDA zones 3 through 10, covering 95% of American gardeners. Fill with standard potting mix. Position in 6 to 8 hours of direct sun. Water when the top inch of soil is dry. Fertilize every 2 weeks with liquid tomato fertilizer starting when the first flowers appear. Here is the detail most people skip entirely. Drill 2 small holes near the top rim and run twine through them for staking support. The handle is not decorative. Use it to rotate the plant 90 degrees every week for even sun exposure and balanced growth. Container tomatoes that get rotated weekly produce 30% more fruit than stationary plants. And these are translucent enough that you can see root health without disturbing the plant. That advantage alone separates success from guessing. Have you ever paid $6 for a single heirloom tomato at the farmer's market? Drop a yes in the comments if that has ever felt absurd. Container 7. 5-gallon buckets. Before you think you already know about bucket gardening, most people who use these are only getting half the production they should, because they are skipping one modification that doubles usable soil depth. The food-grade 5-gallon buckets, the kind that held pickles, frosting, or drywall compound, are the workhorse container that professional small-scale growers actually use. Not fancy grow bags. Buckets. 1 bucket grows 8 to 12 pounds of potatoes, or 3 full-sized pepper plants producing 20 to 30 peppers per season, or a single zucchini plant that will bury you in squash from July through September. At grocery store prices, that is $40 to $60 in production from a container you got free from a bakery or restaurant. These work in zones 3 through 11. Drill 8 1/4-inch drainage holes in the bottom. Fill with 60% potting soil and 40% compost. Place in full sun, 6 to 8 hours minimum. Water daily in summer heat. Feed with balanced fertilizer every 3 weeks. Here is what separates mediocre bucket gardens from explosive production. They raise the bucket 2 inches off the ground using bricks or wood blocks. That airflow underneath the drainage holes prevents root rot and keeps soil temperatures regulated. Most people set buckets directly on concrete or dirt, and wonder why their plants stall out in July. That gap alone is worth 40% more production, and buckets stack for winter storage. They nest. You can store 20 empty buckets in 2 square feet of garage space. Most bakeries and grocery store delis throw these away daily. Ask, they will give them to you free. I have never been told no. Container 6. Plastic storage bins. Most people hear storage bins and immediately picture flimsy dollar store totes that crack in one season. Not what I am talking about. I mean the 18-gallon heavy-duty bins with reinforced corners, the kind you bought for holiday decorations and never actually used. Those bins are 24 inches long and 12 inches deep. That is enough soil volume for 3 full-sized tomato plants. Or 6 heads of lettuce replanted every 3 weeks for continuous harvest. Or 40 to 60 radishes every 25 days. A single 18-gallon bin running a succession lettuce system produces $80 to $120 worth of greens between April and October, from a bin that cost you $8 5 years ago and has been holding Christmas lights. These work in zones 2 through 10. Drill 12 quarter-inch drainage holes, 4 on each long side near the bottom, 4 in the base. Fill with potting mix. Lettuce and greens need 4 to 6 hours of sun. Root vegetables need 6 to 8 hours. Here is the critical detail that separates bin gardening from bin failure. Line the bottom with landscape fabric before adding soil. Not for weed prevention, for drainage integrity. The fabric prevents soil from washing out through the drainage holes while allowing water to exit freely. Without that fabric layer, your soil level drops 3 inches after the first month and root systems get exposed. And storage bins have lids. In early spring or late fall, you can use the lid as a cold frame cover. Prop it at an angle to trap heat and extend your season by 4 weeks on both ends. Nobody realizes how completely achievable season extension becomes when you already have the lid. Which crop are you planting first in one of these? Tell me in the comments. 5 containers left on this list, and the next 2 are the ones most people never consider. And one of them is number 3, the vertical gardening solution I mentioned at the beginning. And I promise you it is worth staying for. Make sure you are subscribed. And if you know someone, a renter, a beginner, someone with a tiny balcony, who keeps saying they do not have space to grow food, share this video with them. You might genuinely save them hundreds of dollars this year alone. 5 containers left. Let's finish this. Container 5. Reusable Grocery Bags. This is not technically a long-term container, but it is the fastest path from zero to harvest for first-time gardeners. And it eliminates the single biggest excuse I hear. Those reusable grocery bags sitting in your car trunk right now, the woven polypropylene ones with handles, grow potatoes, carrots, and salad greens with 0 modification required. The material is breathable. The handles make them portable. And they cost you nothing because you already own 6 of them. 1 bag filled with soil grows 5 to 8 pounds of potatoes. 3 bags running a continuous lettuce rotation produce $30 to $40 worth of greens per season. And they fold flat for storage when the season ends. These work in zones 3 through 10, basically everywhere except extreme desert heat. Fill with potting mix or a 50-50 mix of compost and topsoil. Roll down the sides for shallow crops like lettuce. Roll them up as potato plants grow taller. Water every other day. The breathable fabric means faster soil drying. No fertilizer needed if you are using compost-rich soil. Here is what nobody tells you about bag gardening. The breathability that makes drainage foolproof also makes these bags self-pruning for roots. When roots hit the fabric and encounter air, they stop growing instead of circling. That means healthier root systems and 0 transplant shock if you move plants mid-season. Standard plastic pots create root-bound plants. These do not. And at the end of the season, you dump the soil into your compost pile or garden bed, and the bag goes back in your car for grocery runs. Dual purpose. zero waste. That efficiency alone makes these worth using. Have you been putting off starting a garden because you did not want to invest in containers yet? Drop a yes below. You are not alone. Container 4. Plastic milk crates. Before you dismiss these as too shallow, most people do not know that milk crates paired with one simple liner modification create the perfect self-watering container system. And they stack. Say, standard milk crates are 13 inches square and 11 inches deep. Line 1 with landscape fabric secured with zip ties through the crate holes. Fill with potting soil. You now have a modular container that grows herbs, lettuce, peppers, or determinate tomatoes. One crate produces 6 to 10 pounds of tomatoes or peppers, or enough basil to make pesto weekly all summer. That is $40 worth of basil at grocery store prices. Or a continuous lettuce harvest worth $25 to $35. These work in zones 4 through 11. The open grid sides provide maximum airflow, which means superior root health and almost zero risk of overwatering. Place in 6 to 8 hours of sun for fruiting crops, 4 to 6 hours for greens. Water daily in peak summer. Feed every 2 weeks. Here is where milk crates completely flip the container gardening situation. Oh nay. They stack vertically with structural integrity. Build a tower 4 crates high, that is 16 square inches of footprint producing food from 4 separate containers. Renters with only a 3-foot balcony can suddenly grow 12 different herbs and greens in the space one store-bought planter would occupy. And the crate grid makes trellising automatic. Zip tie bamboo stakes or wire directly to the crate structure for vertical crops like peas or pole beans. No additional support system needed. The container is the trellis. Dairy distributors and grocery stores cycle these out constantly. Ask the dairy manager. Most will let you take damaged crates for free. Container 3. Hanging shoe organizers. This is the one I mentioned at the very beginning, and I already know exactly what you are thinking right now. Dear, shoe organizers are not deep enough for real vegetables. Wrong. And that assumption is costing you the most productive vertical growing system for leafy crops. Those fabric or vinyl hanging shoe organizers with 20 to 24 pockets, the kind you bought to organize a closet and never hung up, are engineered perfectly for shallow-rooted crops. Each pocket is 6 to 7 inches deep. Lettuce, spinach, arugula, radishes, green onions, and strawberries need exactly that depth. Nothing more. One organizer with 20 pockets produces 15 to 20 heads of lettuce in a single planting. Replant every 3 weeks from April through October. That is 8 succession plantings. Do that math. 120 to 160 heads of lettuce from vertical space the size of a door. At $3 per head, that is $360 to $480 in production. These work in zones 3 through 10. Hang on a fence, at balcony railing, or south-facing wall. Fill each pocket with potting mix. Plant 1 lettuce seedling or 3 radish seeds per pocket. Water every other day. Pockets drain freely, so overwatering is nearly impossible. No fertilizer needed for greens. Here is the detail that separates explosive production from disappointment. Cut small drainage slits in the bottom corner of each pocket before filling with soil. Factory pockets hold water. You need gravity drainage. 30 seconds with scissors prevents root rot entirely. And these organizers are modular. Hang 3 side by side on a 10-foot fence. You just created 60 planting pockets in 15 square feet of vertical space. Renters cannot install raised beds. They can hang these with command hooks. Tell me what happened if you have ever tried vertical gardening and had it fail. Tisis, there is almost always one specific fixable reason. Let me know in the comments. 2 containers left, and I saved the most durable one for number 1 deliberately. Not because it is the cheapest, because it is the only container on this list that will outlast you. Stay with me, because the bonus tip right after these last two is the single detail that will increase production in every container we have talked about. 2 left. Let's finish this. Container 2. Kitty Litter Buckets. Most people have never heard of using these, but cat owners are accidentally throwing away the most UV-resistant, thick-walled, handled container that exists in the consumer market. And it is free if you own a cat. The 35-pound kitty litter buckets, specifically Tidy Cats and Fresh Step brands, are made from HDPE plastic twice as thick as standard 5-gallon buckets. They are 12 inches in diameter and 14 inches deep. That is 7 gallons of soil capacity. One bucket grows a single indeterminate tomato plant producing 25 to 40 pounds of fruit, or 2 large pepper plants, or enough kale to harvest continuously for 8 months. A single tomato plant in one of these is worth $50 to $80 at grocery store prices. From a bucket you got free with the necessary purchase. These work in zones 3 through 10. Drill 10 quarter-inch drainage holes in the bottom in a grid pattern. Fill with quality potting mix. Do not cheap out on soil for tomatoes. Place in 8 hours of direct sun minimum. Water deeply when the top 2 inches of soil are dry, and feed every 10 days with tomato fertilizer once flowering starts. Here is what makes these buckets different from every other container on this list. The thick walls insulate roots from temperature swings. Thin containers heat up fast on concrete patios. Roots cook, plants stress, production drops. These buckets maintain stable soil temperature even in 95-degree heat on black asphalt. That temperature regulation alone is worth 25% more fruit production in hot climates. And the square shape means zero wasted space. Round buckets leave gaps when you place them side by side. These nest perfectly in rows for intensive balcony or patio growing. If you have a cat, you are already buying these every month. Save them. If you do not have a cat, ask a friend who does. They are throwing away gold. Container 1. Blue plastic barrels. I saved this one for number 1 deliberately. Not because it is the easiest to source, because it is the only container solution that will still be productive 30 years from now. Food-grade 55-gallon plastic barrels, the kind that transported olives, pickles, or soap to restaurants and manufacturers, are commercial-grade HDPE plastic that does not degrade in sunlight. Cut 1 in half horizontally, and you have 2 27-gallon containers that grow full-sized fruit trees, berry bushes, or entire salad gardens. One half barrel grows a dwarf apple tree producing 50 to 200 apples per year starting in year 3, or a blueberry bush producing 8 to 15 pints per season, or 12 heads of lettuce replanted every 3 weeks. Over 10 years, one barrel produces $2,000 to $4,000 worth of fruit, from a container that cost you $10 or less. These work in zones 3 through 9 for most dwarf fruit trees. Drill 12 half-inch drainage holes in the bottom. Fill with a mix of 50% potting soil, 30% compost, and 20% perlite for trees and berries. Full sun, 8 hours minimum for fruit production. Water deeply twice per week, more in extreme heat. Fertilize fruit trees 3 times per year, early spring, mid-summer, and early fall. Here is the critical insider detail for barrel growing. The diameter matters more than the depth for perennial plants. A 23-inch diameter gives roots room to spread horizontally, which is how trees and berries actually grow. Tall, narrow containers force vertical root growth. Plants survive but never thrive. This width-to-depth ratio is why half barrels outperform expensive grow bags 3 times their price. And barrels are mobile. Fruit trees in the ground are permanent. Container trees move if you move, go in the garage during freak freezes, and can be repositioned to follow the sun as seasons change. That flexibility is worth the entire investment. Food processing companies, car washes, and soap manufacturers cycle these out constantly. call and ask. Most sell used barrels for $5 to $15. Some give them away free just to avoid disposal fees. Which tree are you planting first? Apple, cherry, or blueberry? Let me know below. I promised you this at the very beginning, and here it is. This applies to every single container on this entire list, without exception. Most people who start container gardening lose 30% to 50% of their potential harvest to a single invisible problem: root temperature stress. And almost nobody realizes it is happening because the plant looks fine, until production drops halfway through the season for no apparent reason. Here is what happens. Containers sitting on concrete, asphalt, or dark composite decking absorb radiant heat. Soil temperature inside the container hits 95 to 105 degrees, even when air temperature is only 85. Roots shut down. Flowering stops. Fruit production stalls. The solution costs nothing. Mulch the soil surface with 2 inches of wood chips, shredded leaves, or straw. That layer insulates the soil, keeps root zone temperatures 15 to 20 degrees cooler, and reduces watering frequency by half. Your production doubles. Your water bill drops. And your containers stay productive through August heat instead of stalling in July. And go to any tree service company working in your area and ask for wood chips. Most will give them to you free. They pay to dump them otherwise. 1 truckload mulches 30 containers and lasts 2 seasons. Or rake leaves in fall and shred them with a mower. Free. Or ask a farm supply store for spoiled straw bales they cannot sell. Usually free. This one detail, 2 inches of mulch, will increase your total harvest from containers by 40%. Every time. Without exception. A lot of people are going to watch this video and still not start, because not having the right containers feels like a real barrier even after seeing 8 solutions sitting in your house right now. I want you to hear this as clearly as possible. You do not need a perfect yard. You do not need raised beds and irrigation systems. And you do not need expertise or a green thumb or years of practice. You need 1 container, 1 bag of potting soil, and 1 seed packet or seedling. That is the entire requirement. Start with a milk jug growing 1 tomato plant, or a grocery bag growing lettuce, or a bucket growing peppers. Pick one. This week, not next month when conditions are perfect. Because conditions are never perfect. And every year you wait is another year of full grocery store prices while viable containers sit in your garage doing nothing. Your first harvest will not be flawless, it will be real, and it will cost you 90% less than the grocery store. That alone makes it worth starting today instead of thinking about starting someday. If this video gave you something real today, subscribe. Right now. Not at the end. Not later. Because later has a way of becoming never. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Every single week, this channel will give you exactly what you need to grow food in the space you actually have, with the budget you actually have, using the time you actually have available. Not theory. Not Instagram gardens that cost $500 to build. Real container growing for real people. The people who subscribe are the ones who actually follow through. Be one of them. Hit subscribe right now. And drop a comment right now telling me 2 things. Where in the US are you watching from? And which container are you using first? Or if you have already been growing and found containers, what has worked and what failed? I read every single comment. Everyone. Let's bring this together one final time. As Laundry Detergent Bottles, 4-gallon capacity with built-in handles, grow full-size tomatoes and peppers with mobility that traditional pots never offer. 5-gallon buckets, raised 2 inches off the ground for airflow, produce 40% more than buckets sitting directly on concrete and give you the workhorse container professional growers actually use. Storage bins with landscape fabric lining, 18-gallon capacity, Run succession lettuce systems worth $100 per season, while the lid doubles as a cold frame for season extension nobody expects. Reusable grocery bags, breathable fabric that self-prunes roots, eliminate transplant shock and give beginners the fastest path from zero to harvest with containers they already own. How milk crates with fabric lining stack vertically for modular tower growing, turn 16 square inches of balcony into 4 separate productive containers, and make trellising automatic. Hanging shoe organizers with drainage slits cut in each pocket, 20 pockets producing 8 succession plantings. Deliver $400 worth of lettuce from vertical space the size of a door that renters can install with command hooks. Kitty litter buckets, twice the wall thickness of standard buckets, insulate roots from temperature swings worth 25% more production in hot climates and nest perfectly for intensive space utilization. Blue barrel halves, 27-gallon commercial-grade containers, grow dwarf fruit trees producing $200 to $400 annually for 30 years and stay mobile when in-ground trees stay permanent. And every single one benefits from 2 inches of wood chip mulch that keeps root temperatures regulated and doubles production through summer heat. Your balcony is not too small. Your patio is not too small. Your porch is not too small. They are just not planted yet. Start with 1 container this week. I will see you in the next one.